Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala. Then we continue inside of the explanation of Nawaqid-ul-Islam by Sheikh Abdul Muslim al-Qasim, the Imam and Khatib in the Prophet's Masjid. And just to recap what we've learned so far is that he said that knowledge is from the greatest acts of ibadah, especially during the times of fitna, trials and tribulations, where a person will know what to do in those times. Then it's even greater to seek knowledge during this time as well, when it is people are caught up in the playing and amusement of the dunya. Then for someone to seek knowledge is even greater at that time. And even though many people are heedless of this, Allah chooses whom He wills for this act of ibadah, and that knowledge is not limited to a certain group of people, rather it's for the young and the old, the male and the female, and the Sahaba even used to seek knowledge from the females. And in order to make this knowledge easy to the people, then the scholars have put forth a text gathering and summarizing the issue that they're writing about, making it easy for them to memorize and to bring forth at the time of needing to do so. Right? And this issue of memorizing text is not something new. Rather, it is something that the Salaf used to do, such as Nawawi memorized a big book called Al-Muhadhab, and many scholars memorized the book Al-Muharrar fil Hadith, and other than that, this is famous. And the only one who turns away from this issue of memorizing texts is the one who doesn't do so. The one who, and this is something in general, not just as far as memorizing texts. The person who doesn't know something is usually an enemy to it. You know, he's usually an enemy to it. So someone who never studied grammar, he'll be an enemy to grammar. Someone who never memorized, he'll be an enemy to memorize, right? And he'll say, no, we don't need to do that. Someone who has never truly sought knowledge, they say, no, we don't have to waste our time in learning all that, stuff, right? So this is in general. The person who's never had anything or is ignorant of that thing, then he's going to be an enemy of it. And this is in life as well, right? This is in life as well. We see when white people don't know black people, they take them as, something strange and enemy. Black people don't know white, same thing, right? This is a common thread. And knowledge is also from the jihad. In fact, as Ibn al-Qayyim and his teacher said, rahimahullah, it is the greatest jihad. Then they started the actual text after the introduction, and that is that this text doesn't have a name given to it by Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Rather, he just wrote the short letter to someone, and later on his students put a name on it. Right? That's where we reached, inshallah. Now, something you could do is you could take the audio, which is online, right? It's on the YouTube channel. You could take it and you could play it and try to understand it.
فالنووي مثلا نص على أنه كان يحفظ المهذب، وكذا كان نص كثير من أهل العلم كالذهبي وغيرهم على حفظهم للمحرر في الحديث.
So you could play it along and work on your listening skills as well. So now that you've been through it, you can listen to it and say, hey, am I understanding it when I hear it or only when I read it? Right? This is something you can do. You can take it. I'll send you the audio as well, just in an MP3 format, inshallah. but the issue is that you can play with it here, both textually by reading it and as by listening, inshallah. He says, after explaining it, the Sheikh didn't put a title to it. He says, وَمِمَّا تَتَمَيَّزُ بِهِ مُصَنَّفَاتِ الشَّيْخِ. And from what, وَمِمَّا, min plus ma, mimma, and from what, تَتَمَيَّزُ, from means zay, meaning to distinguish. Bihi, meaning this is the min, or this is the ma. This he is referring to the ma, the what, with it, meaning with what. Musannafat al-Sheikh. Musannafat is from Sad Noon Fa, meaning Musannafa or Sannafa, Tasnif. All of these words have to do with authoring and writing. Musannafat is going to be the works, the written works, the authored works. We probably in English just say works. I don't know. A sheikh. So the written works of the sheikh. وَمِمَّا, and from what? تَتَمَيَّزُ بِهِ, and from what the written works, and this is going to be the fa'il, the written works of the sheikh are distinguished by it, by them, by it, right? Number one, he doesn't say it here, but here he says Amru Thani wa Amru Thalith, right? So this is Al-Amr al-Awwal, right? Sahulatul Ibara. Sahulatul Ibara, which is from Sin Ha Lam. Sahulatul Ibara, which is from Sahala, to be easy. Sahulatul Ibara, Ibara is basically wording or language. Sahulatul Ibara meaning ease of language, ease of phrases and wording. You didn't choose complicated wording. لأنه وضعها لعامة الناس وخاصتهم. لأنه, because he وضعها, وضع, to place, right? We had this already the other day. وضعها, he placed it, لعامة الناس, or he made it. You could say that, right? You could maybe translate wada'a as to make here, right? Li'amatin nas. Li, harf jar, right? Preposition making the ama majroor. Amatin nas. Am, from ayn mim, means general. The general population, the generality of the people, the common people. Wa khasatihim. وَخَاسَتِهِمْ, from khas, right, meaning, and the general, and what would be the specific of them, but meaning more so here the general people as well as the more knowledgeable ones, right? Those who are more, have more details in this issue. So the general people and then the specific people, right? Am and khas, like in the Quran, is the ayat am or is it khas? Meaning Allah says, for instance, when they were trying to figure out who killed the man, to take a cow and kill it and then hit the person with it. Is this am or is it khas? Meaning, if we want to know who killed someone, can we take a cow and kill it and then beat the body of the dead person with it and it tell us? Or is it am, meaning that we can do it too, or is it khas, meaning specific to his situation, right? Here, of course, it's specific to that situation, right? But khas doesn't necessarily mean specific. Here it means not the general people, meaning the tulab al-ilm and the mashayikh and so on and so forth. وَمِمَا تتميز به مصنفات الشيخ سهولة العبارة لأنه وضعها لعامة الناس وخاصتهم. And from what distinguishes the works of the Sheikh are number one, Al-Amr al-Awwal, the ease of wording, the easy language, because he made it or placed it for the general masses as well as the specific of them, meaning the students of knowledge and sheikhs and so on and so forth. Al-Amr al-Thani, Al-Amr meaning the second affair, the second matter, right? تتميز به مصنفات الشيخ, that distinguishes the works of the Sheikh. Al-Amr al-Thani أن كل مسألة يقررها, أن that كل منسوب after أن مسألة مضاف إليه, right? أن كل مسألة يقررها, he repeats it, he قرر to repeat it, to affirm it or confirm it, right? To repeat it here basically. يقرر going to be to repeat it. Let me see if I can find something better for us though. Here he says, it could maybe make more sense with the words after it. He says he establishes it, right? He establishes it, right? That could be it, to repeat it or to establish it. Establish it might be better. Here he says, يدع لها دليلها. يدع, he places, from وضع, يدع, he places, لها, for it, دليلها, its evidence. He places what? دليلها, asif, دليلها, right? Places دليلها, right? فمثلا, so for example, Kitab al-Tawheed, right? We're not going to translate that. Kitab al-Tawheed, that's the name of the book, right? The book of Tawheed, Kitab al-Tawheed. Lam yakul, lam is a particle of a harf of jazm, right? So originally the word was yaqulu, yaqulu, but then we put lam, which made the lam majzoom, and the waw was already majzoom, and so we don't have two majzoom letters next to each other, so we drop the weak one. Lam yaqul. Min awwalihi li akhirihi, from the first of it till its last. Min awwalihi li akhirihi, right? To the end of it. Qultu, I say, or I said. Qultu, I said. So he doesn't say Lam yaqul min awwalihi li akhirihi, he doesn't say from the beginning to the end of it, I say. So he's not having his own words in there. وَإِنَّمَا هِيَ آيَاتٌ وَأَحَادِيثٌ وَشَيْءٌ يَسِيرٌ مِنْ كَلَامِ السَّلَفِ. وَإِنَّمَا, إِنَّمَا means only. Or, no, I put that, I don't know what I just did. I wrote that backwards, that's what I did. Only, or nothing but. Right? It is nothing but, or it is only. Hiya ayat. It is ayat. Everything he says is ayat, wa ahadith, wa shay'un yasirun, and shay, something, yasir. Right? Yasir, from sin, ya, ra, meaning light. Something easy, something light. Right? Something simple, something just a little bit. Shay'un yasirun, just a little bit. Min kalam as-salaf, from the speech of the salaf. Right? وإنما هي آيات وأحاديث وشيء يسير من كلام السلف, and something simple or light from the speech of the Salaf. والأمر الثالث, and the third affair, أن الله رزق الشيخ رحمه الله حسن التصنيف. That Allah, أن الله رزق الشيخ, He gave the Shaykh rahimahullah husna at-tasnif. Right? Husna at-tasnif. Meaning Allah provided the Shaykh, He gave the Shaykh husna at-tasnif, meaning the ability to write good books. The ability to have, to be a good author, basically. Husna at-tasnif, meaning to write good books. He didn't just write frivolous stuff, and you know, he didn't add extra sentences that were unnecessary and all of that. Rather, Allah gave him the ability to be a good author. Any questions so far?
No.
Then read from there to there, يا أبا طاهر.
ومما تتميز به مصنفات الشيخ سهولة العبارة لأنه وضعها لعامة الناس وخاصاتهم. الأمر الثاني أن كل مسألة يقررها يدعى لها دليلها. فمثلا كتاب التوحيد لم يكن من أوله لآخره قلت، وإنما هي آيات وأحاديث وشيء يصير من كلام السلف. يصير ليس في المضارع، اسم.
No, Yasir here is a sifa. It's a shay. Yasirun. Shayun yasirun. No.
طيب. I don't know why I think that was طيب.
Because of the ya, confused. It's, you know, confusing.
Yeah.
والأمر الثالث.
and Allah. أمر الثالث أن الله رزق الشيخ رحمه الله حسن التصنيف.
Naam. And we can see here that Sheikh and Husna are both mansoob because they're both maf'ulun bihi to razaqa. Allah, razaqa, He provided who? The Sheikh provided what? Husna tasnif. Right? Abdullah.
نعم. ومما تتميز به مصنفات الشيخ.
مصنفات الشيخ.
مصنفات الشيخ.
نعم.
مصنفات الشيخ. سهولة. Okay, سهولة. I thought it was, I should have known with the wow. سهولة العبارة لأنه.
سهولة العبارة تي مضاف إليه.
عبارتي.
نعم.
لأنه وسعها
وضعها ضاد.
Okay. وضعها لآمة الناس.
It's a harf jar here. right? It's a preposition
Okay.
making this amati.
Yeah. لأمتنس وخاستهم in there وأمر الثاني أن كل مسألة
نعم.
يقرها.
يقرأ.
Okay, you. That's what I was going to ask you because I heard him say you. يقرها.
يقررها. يقرر.
Okay, يقررها.
نعم.
يدعى لها دليلها فمثلا كتاب توحيد لو يقول
لم. First off is لم.
لم يقول
نعم.
من أولها
أو له
أولي. Okay.
Right. Min makes awwali, and he just becomes he just for ease of pronunciation, right?
أولي لآخره.
No.
قلت وإنما هي آياتي وأحاديث. What about here?
Here is like that. Here, they take off the innama, right? Innama is from the adat al-hasr, something meaning just, like we said, nothing or only or but, something which limits something. But here, ayatun, this is the mubtada, this is the khabar, both of them marfu'. Here, ayatun.
Okay. وأحاديث وشيء يسير أو يسيرون من كثير من كلام السلف.
كلام السلفي. كلامي after min, right? حرف الجر من كلامي السلفي.
Okay.
This is مضاف إليه.
Okay.
But you just say كلام السلف, no problem. I'm just giving you the ending.
Yeah, Salafi. الأمر الثالث أن الله رزق الشيخ رحمه الله حسن التصنيف.
نعم. حسن التصنيف. نعم. طيب. جزاكم الله خيرا. طيب. فلا تجد أحدا من أهل العلم قد ذكر جملة كبيرة من نواقض الإسلام على تنوعها مثل ما وضع في هذه الرسالة. فلا تجد. So you don't find. فلا تجد. From وجد يجد. تجد. Right? You will not find. أحدا. Anyone. You will not find anyone. مفعول به. أحدا. Right? من أهل العلم. أهل is مجرور after من. أهل العلم مضاف إليه. قد ذكر. قد here just emphasis, you might not even translate it, right? Sometimes you don't translate that there. Just ذكر. He mentioned jumlatan. Mentioned what? Jumlatan kabiratan. Mentioned a jumla, as we said, is the word sentence. Because what is it? It's a group of words. We said when you go to Costco or Sam's, you buy in jumla, you buy in bulk. You buy in bulk, you buy a lot of it, right? So when you say jumlatan kabiratan, for instance here, he mentioned a lot. He mentioned a number of something, a lot of something, right? Jumlatan kabiratan, a big amount. Jumla here might be, you might translate it as amount. You might find a different word, I don't know. Just finish the sentence and then you can figure out how you would want to do it. وَقَدْ ذَكَرَ جُمْلَةً كَبِيرَةً مِنْ نَوَاقِدِ-ul-Islam. He mentioned a big amount from the nullifiers of Islam. He mentioned a big portion, a big amount, something like that, right? A big number from the nullifiers, Nawaqid-ul-Islam, from the nullifiers of Islam. Ala tanawu'iha, ala tanawu'iha, majroor after ala. Tanawwu', if you read books about fiqh, right? And it talks about, for instance, there are different phrases to say inside of ruku', and different phrases to say in sajda, and different adhkar or adiyah to say for the dua al-istiftah. This could be tanawwu', meaning various, to be different, right? To be a different kind. Then you have al-ikhtilaf al-tanawwu' wa ikhtilaf al-tadad. Ikhtilaf al-tanawwu' means difference of opinion, which is just different types. Meaning, for instance, if Ibn Mas'ud said that when the Prophet is an example. If one of the Sahaba said, the Prophet ﷺ used to say after takbir, Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa tabaraka ismuka wa ta'ala jadduka, right? One Sahabi said that, then another Sahaba said, when after the initial takbir to the ihram, he used to say Allahu Akbar, and then mention something different, right? And then another Sahaba said, no, after takbir to the ihram, he used to say Allahumma ba'adni bayna khatayaya kama ba'adta bayna al-mashriq wal-maghrib. And they say differently. Are these contradictory things? Or is one of them wrong and the other ones, or one is right and all the others are wrong? No. This is called ikhtilaf at-tanawwu'. Ikhtilaf of varying things. You can do this one or that one, they're all correct, right? Whereas ikhtilaf at-tadad would be contradictory things. So for instance, did he place his hands on his chest or on his side? If we say he only did one or the other, right, then this would be ikhtilaf at-tadad. Right? After ruku', we mean. After coming up from ruku', did he place him on his chest or his side? If we said he only did this or he only did that, then this is ikhtilaf at-tadad. You can't do both, because you can't place your hands on your chest and on your side at the same time. But if you said, as an example, he did this sometimes and that sometimes, then this would be ikhtilaf at-tanawwu'. Does that word tanawwu', is it clear now?
No.
Coming from noon, waw, ayn, meaning a type or a kind. Ala tanawwu'iha, meaning upon its various types. Right? Mathala ma wada'a fi hadhihi risala. Similar or like ma wada'a, what he placed fi hadhihi risala, in this letter or treatise. So he says, فَلَا تَجِدُ أَحَدٍ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْعِلْمِ. So you don't find anyone from the people of knowledge. قَدْ ذَكَرَ جُمْلَةً كَبِيرَةً مِنْ نَوَاقِدِ-ul-Islam, that he mentioned a great number of the nullifiers of Islam, عَلَى تَنَوُّعِهَا, upon their great various types of nawaqid, basically. مثل ما وضع في هذا الرسالة, similar to what is placed in this Risala. So what he's saying here is that even though other people of knowledge have written about this issue, right? This issue of Nawaqid-ul-Islam, the nullifiers of Islam, they did in most fiqh books. You have Kitab-ul-Ridda. Kitab-ul-Ridda, right? The book of apostasy. It's usually at the end of a fiqh book, right? It's usually at the end of a fiqh book because we're not trying to tear down people's Islam. We're trying to establish our Islam first. Then we can talk about who doesn't have it later on. Let's establish it first before we start removing it, nullifying it, right? So you have these books written in this subject, but none of them, even though some people mentioned a big amount, right, of the types of Islam, either different types of books that were written specifically in this subject or chapters put inside of bigger books, none of them are like what was placed in this letter. None of them have gained the fame of what is in this letter. I can't remember the name of the book right now, but there's a book by one of the early scholars. He was like in the year 900 Hijri or something. I will find it today, inshallah. But he has a 4-volume book on fiqh. Inside of it he has Kitab-ul-Ridda, the book of apostasy. This treatise, Nawaqid-ul-Islam, is almost taken from it word for word. Meaning, we have 10 Nawaqid in this book that we learned when we read it before. And the wordings of those 10 are found inside of that Kitab-ul-Ridda. But not in the same order nor in a row. But you will find them. And that book has probably around 8 or 9 pages on Kitab-ul-Ridda and things which take one out of Islam. Right? But yet, even with all that detail, it's nothing like this book of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, rahimahullah. وهنا قال اعلم رحمك الله أن نواقض-ul-Islam عشرة. And here, هنا, here, قال, he said, know that, may Allah have mercy on you, that the Nawaqid-ul-Islam are 10. And we went through the i'rab of that, the grammar and all of that when we read the book, so no need to do that again. وَالْمَرَاد مِنْ نَوَاقِدِ-ul-Islam, and the marad, the meaning, the intention, right? The meaning or the intention. What was wanted by it from rawada, right? Meaning, as we said, uridu, right? Marad, the intention, the thing that they wanted from min nawaqid-ul-Islam, from the nullifiers of Islam. وفي بعض النسخ مخطوطة اعلم أن من نواقض-ul-Islam. Okay, so here he says, اعلم رحمك الله, may Allah have mercy on you, أن نواقض-ul-Islam عشرة, that the nullifiers of Islam are 10. Here he says, well, marad, and the meaning or the intention, what is wanted by that, is min nawaqid-ul-Islam, is that from the nawaqid of Islam are 10. Right? Fafi, or verily, or for fi, for in, ba'd al-nusukh, some of the copies. Nusukh is the plural of nuskha. Right? Meaning copy. وفي بعد نسخ مخطوط المخطوطة, this is a مخطوطة from خطأ. خطأ here means handwriting. Here مخطوطة means a manuscript. خط is your handwriting, right? خط is your handwriting, or it could be a line as well, right? What you draw, what you wrote. Makhtuta would be like a manuscript. وفي بعض النسخ المخطوطة, in some of the handwritten copies, basically. اعلم أن من نواقض-ul-Islam. Know that from the Nawaqid-ul-Islam. Right? Let's stop there before we continue. Any questions?
لا.
Go ahead and read for us, Abu Tahir.
فلا تجد أحد من أهل العلم قد ذكر جملة كبيرة من نواقض الإسلام على تنويعها مثل ما وضع في هذه الرسالة وهن قال اعلم رحمك الله أن نواقض الإسلام 10 والمراد من نواقض الإسلام ففي بعض النسك مقطوطة اعلم أنا من نواقض الإسلام.
نعم. Abdullah, you ready?
نعم. فلا تجد
تجدوا. فلا تجدوا.
Okay, taji. I got it backwards. Taji. Oh, tajidun.
تجدوا. It's a verb.
Tajidu. I thought he said tajid. Okay, tajidu. أحد من أهل العلم قد كثر جملة كبيرة. كثر.
كثرة.
I mean ذكر.
طيب.
قد ذكر جملة كبيرة من نواقض الإسلام.
من what? What do you put here? What vowel goes on that bod?
What nawaqidul?
What goes on there? Fatha, kasra, dhamma?
Dhamma. Nawaqid-ul-Islam.
Min.
Oh. Nawaqid-ul-Islam.
There you go.
Nawaqid-ul-Islam. Allah تنوعها مثل ما وضع في هذه الرسالة وهنا قال سأعلم رحمك الله أن نواقض-ul-Islam 10.
What goes on that dot there?
Dhamma. Ain't that right?
What's that N do? What does that N do to a word?
Oh, Nawaqid-ul-Islam or Fatah.
There you go.
Nawaqid-ul, okay. And my bad. Nawaqid-ul-Islam 10. Well, marad min Nawaqid-ul-Islam.
Inshallah.
في بعد نسخ المخطوطة علم أن من نواقض-ul-Islam.
No.
Oh, do I stop there?
Yeah, we'll stop there for a minute.
وهذا هن
the PDF, the issue for even those who might see the video later, the issue is the PDF is not online. I don't have a website where I can just put stuff up there. You know, I got a Dropbox. The link is in the first video link. Now, one brother said it didn't work, and I responded to him. So if you go to the first class on YouTube, then the link is in the description, and you can get it from there for the PDF. Otherwise, send me an email or a text message, a WhatsApp message, and I'll send it to you like that, right? So that you can have it. But the issue is the PDF was found on a website somewhere, and you can get the whole PDF if you search, you know, Shar Nawaqid-ul-Islam by Sheikh Abdul Muhsin Qasim PDF. You'll get it, but the issue is it'll be the whole مستوى الأول, meaning Nawaqid-ul-Islam, Quad al-Arba, Thalathat al-Usul, and Al-Arba'in Nawawiyya in one file. I broke it up, with a PDF breaker, free PDF breaker I broke it up into individual books to make it easy. So if you go online, you can find it. I have Dropbox. Dropbox is similar to Google Drive. I'm not anti-technology. I like gadgets and stuff, but I don't have Facebook. I'm not going to have Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and Google Drive and just the Dropbox is good enough, and the link is there online, inshallah ta'ala. Allah knows best. He says, continuing, وَالْمَرَادْ مِنْ نَوَاقِدِ الْإِسْلَامِ. وَالْمَرَادْ مِنْ نَوَاقِدِ الْإِسْلَامِ, and the meaning is from the nullifiers of Islam. فَفِي بَعْدِ النُّسْخِ الْمَخْطُوطَةِ, or in some of the handwritten copies, اعلم أن من نواقض الإسلام, know that from the nullifiers of Islam. وهذه النواقض التي ذكرها ليست هي جميع النواقض وإنما بعد نواقضها وهذه النواقض, and these, because nawaqid is a plural, and it's a غير عاقل plural, right? A plural which is not intellectual, so we talk about it in feminine singular. وهذه النواقض, and these nullifiers, التي, which, again he's talking about it in the feminine singular, ذكرها, again feminine singular, right? That he mentioned them. ليست, again feminine singular. هي, feminine singular. جميع النواقض, they are not all of the nawaqid. جميع is mansub. Why? Because it comes after laysa, right? Laysa is from those akhawatu inna. It's from the akhawatu inna, the sisters of inna. So it's the same, it has the same effect. So laysat hiya jami'a nawaqid. Actually, hiya would be the ismu laysa, right? So it would be the word that's mansub, hiya, right? But hiya doesn't change, it's always hiya. And jami'a would be a bada, would be a substitute. Because I could say, وَلَيْسَتْ جَمِيعَ النَّوَاقِدِ, and it's not all of them. I could say it like that. But this hiya is like an emphasis talking about these 10. But these 10, right, are not جَمِيعَ, all النَّوَاقِدِ, all of them. مفعول مضاف إليه. وَإِنَّمَا, and again, they're nothing but, or only, بعض النواقض, or بعض نواقضها. They are only some of its nullifiers, or some of the nullifiers, right? Is that clear?
No.
No.
ولهذا,
What?
I'm going down. ولهذا,
You know what, but I see what you're saying. Okay.
لهذا قال في آخر رسالة. لهذا قال في آخر الرسالة. آخر is مجرور after في, and الرسالة is مضاف إليه. He says, وكلها من أعظم ما يكون خطرا وأكثر ما يكون وقوعا. And all of them are from the greatest of what is dangerous, or as we said, the most dangerous. وأكثر ما يكون وقوعا, and the most of what is occurring or most occurring, like we said, right? We said when we read the text originally, the metan, we said that's a sentence that you're definitely not going to translate upon the Arabic structure of that, right? وَكُلُّهَا, and all of them, min a'zami, are from the greatest or most severe, ma yakunu khatara, of what is dangerous. No, you can say, and those are the most dangerous. Wa aktharu, and the most, ma yakunu, of what is wuku'a, occurring. No, and they're the most occurring, right? لذلك هذه النواقض لم يذكر فيها مثلا الإلحاد في أسماء الله. So due to that, or لذلك, li here is for, لذلك, for that, meaning because of that, or so, or due to that, هذه النواقض, these nullifiers, لم يذكر, this is a harful jazm, meaning making this majzoom, لم يذكر فيها, he didn't mention in them, مثلا, for example, الإلحاد في أسماء الله, to have ilhad, which I guess the best thing would be heresy or blasphemy, right? Al-ilhad, it's a hard word. Sometimes it means different things. It can mean apostasy. It can mean, what is it when a person doesn't believe in God at all? Atheism, right? It could be atheism. It can be heresy. It could be blasphemy. It could be a lot of these things depending on its context. So I think here, blasphemy or heresy, fi asma'illah, in the names of Allah. He didn't talk about that. Someone who denies Allah's attributes and names, like the Jahmiyyah. The Jahmiyyah say Allah doesn't have any names except Allah. Nothing. You don't have Ar-Rahman. All these are not names of Allah. Whoever denies this, kafir. Jahmiyyah, kufar. He didn't mention that inside this text. وَلَمْ يَذْكُرْ فِيهَا, and he didn't mention in them, or in it, al-kufr bil-malaika, disbelief in the angels. He didn't talk about that. Someone says there is no angels. We don't believe in angels or jinn or Jannah or hellfire or something like that. He didn't mention that. Although these things would nullify one's Islam. وَلَمْ يَذْكُرْ فِيهَا, and he didn't mention in it or amongst them, right? Fiha might be better to say amongst them, among them, because we're talking about the Nawaqid. Al-Kufr bil-Ba'th. Al-Kufr, disbelief, bil-Ba'th, in the resurrection. Ba'atha, to send forth. Like Allah says, Ba'atha Rasul, meaning He sent him forth. So Ba'ath, meaning on the Day of Judgment, when the people are sent forth from their graves, when they come out. Kufr bil-Ba'ath, the disbelief in the resurrection. So, فالمقصود, maqsood from qaf, sad, dal, the intention. This is like qasd. This is the linguistic meaning of hajj. Hajj, when you see they talk about what is the meaning of the word hajj, hajj linguistically means al-qasd, to have an intention, right? Maqsood, you might see a book called al-maqasid, meaning the goals or the aims, right? The intentions, the goal or the aim, the purpose of the religion, right? فَالْمَقْصُودُ, so the intention or the goal or the point being made here, أَنَّ هَذِهِ مِن نَوَاقِدِ-ul-Islam, or مِن نَوَاقِدِ-ul-Islam, وَلَيْسَتْ جَمِيعَ النَّوَاقِدِ. The point here, فالمقصود, the point, the intention, أن هذه من نواقض, that these are from the nullifiers of Islam, وليست جميع النواقض, and not all of the nawaqid. Clear? So where do we stop at? We stopped up above somewhere, right?
وهذه النواقض.
Okay. I'm gonna try to get it all on one page for y'all. If I can. Nope. Go ahead, Abu Tahir. You can scroll down, huh?
وهذه النواقض التي ذكرها هي جميع نواقض، وإنما بعض نواقضها. لهذا قال في آخر الرسالة: وقولها من أعظم ما يكون خطرا وأكثر ما يكون وقوعا. لذلك هذه النواقض لم يذكر فيها مثلا الإلحاد في أسماء الله، ولم يذكر فيها الكفر بالملائكة، ولم يذكر فيها الكفر بالبعث. المقصود أن هذه من نواقض الإسلام وليست جميع النواقض.
عبد الله.
وهذا النواقض التي ذكرها ليست هي جميع النواقض، وإنما بعض نواقضها.
بعد, the word after is going to be مضاف إليه. بعد نواقضها.
Okay. لهذا قل في آخر الرسالة: وكلها من أعظم ما يكون خطرا وأكثر ما يكون وقوعا.
Okay, one second. This would be akthari, because min.
I'm reading off the paper and see what it says.
Min a'zami, right? Wa min akthari. Ma yakun.
Okay, kuli min akthar me. But okay, I see I got it up here, but I just said akthim.
Akthari ma yakunu.
Akthar me. So I got akthar me. Ma yakunu. Kathara wa aktharu ma yakun wa ku'a. لذلك هذه النواقض لم يذكروا فيها مثل الإلحاد في أسماء الله، ولم يذكر فيها الكفر بالملائكة، ولم يكثروا فيها الكفر بالبعث. مقصود I'm sorry أن هذه من نواقض الإسلام وليست جميع النواقض.
Sorry, 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Oh man.
Why watch a lot? Trying to do something here, if I can get it. One second.
Nawaqid.
قال الإمام المجدد شيخ الإسلام محمد بن عبد الوهاب بن سليمان التميمي رحمه الله تعالى في رسالة نواقض الإسلام: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اعلم أن نواقض الإسلام عشرة نواقض. نعم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هذا المتن للشيخ محمد الوهاب وهو نواقض الإسلام، ولم يضع لها عنوانا رحمه الله. ومما تتميز به مصنفات الشيخ سهولة العبارة، لأنه وضعها لعامة الناس وخاصتهم. والأمر الثاني أن كل مسألة يقررها يضع دليلها. لذلك فمثلا كتاب التوحيد لم يقل من أوله إلى آخره قلت، وإنما هي آيات وأحاديث وشيء يسير من كلام السلف. الأمر الثالث أن الشيخ محمد الوهاب رحمه الله رزقه الله حسن التصنيف، فلا تجد أحدا من أهل العلم قد ذكر جملة كبيرة من نواقض الإسلام على تنوعها مثل ما وضع في هذه الرسالة. وهنا قال: اعلم أن نواقض الإسلام 10 نواقض. والمراد اعلم أن نواقض الإسلام يعني من نواقض الإسلام. ففي بعض النسخ المخطوطة اعلم أن من نواقض الإسلام. وهذه النواقض التي ذكرها ليست هي جميع النواقض، وإنما بعض نواقضها. لهذا قال في آخر الرسالة: وهذه من أكثر ما يكون خطرا، ومن أكثر ما يكون وقوعا، ومن أشد ما يكون خطرا من. لذلك هذه النواقض لم يذكر فيها مثلا الإلحاد في أسماء الله، ولم يذكر فيها الكفر بالملائكة، ولم يذكر فيها الكفر بالبعث، وهكذا. فالمقصود أن هذه من النواقض وليس جميع النواقض. نعم.
طيب.
طيب.
Is it too fast, Abdullah?
A little bit.
Man, you pull out your text and you do that 3, 4, 5 times a day, it ain't gonna be too fast, man. You just listen to that one clip 10 times a day or whatever, reading it, listening, eventually you're gonna be able to just listen and know exactly what he's saying by listening without even having to look.
Inshallah.
And with time, you're just gonna pick up your vocabulary. And that's the type of skill you need to do. You need to do both of it, you know? You need to do both of it, you know? And if you want to write something out, write it out too. Write something out too, you know? Anyway, I will send this to you guys, the audio. Mariam should already have the PDF. Like I said to Abdullah, I suggest that you print it out. And then as we're going over it in the class, you can put your little vowels on it as we put our vowels on it to help you out. Maybe with a pencil so that eventually you can erase them, or you can print another copy again in the future because you'll have the PDF if you like. And just go over it over and over it. And with the audio, inshallah ta'ala, it will be clear. So you can understand what you're reading and understand what you're hearing independent of each other. Inshallah, I'll see you, brothers and sisters, Saturday. Subhanakallah, or Friday night for you guys. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.